Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be going over another character class here, kind of a review on this trio, and this trio is going to be the infamous Cleric, Bard, Enchanter. So if you've never played this before, it used to be a lot more powerful, but they did do a little bit of an adjustment on it to kind of balance it out, but don't rule it out yet because it's still extremely powerful. So one of the main things this trio can do is very, very good at farming AAs, farming up cash, basically just a huge farm bot. Now, don't take that away from the fact that it's also extremely powerful, but you only seriously need 2 songs running to make this as powerful as it can be. So what we're going to do is we're going to show off this a little bit here in Umbral Plains, because this, I think it has like the deepest density as far as monsters go. So we'll pop in here. And then we'll just I'll get rid of this guy actually. Don't need him. Let's get any buffs going that we can. I always carry my merchant on this guy because, like I said, he just, you need it. So we'll just run through here. You're going to get smacked, but you'll notice that most of the time you don't even take any damage from it because of your rune song. So we'll just keep running through. So I like to have the map up here just because you can see the mobs on the map, and I try to pull as many as possible. So basically the Bard is different on this server. You don't have to continuously cast your spells with a melody here. The songs themselves, you cast them one time and they're going to stick on you. So we'll cast these up, and then you'll see that they will tick down, but they won't actually go away, which is actually very, very, very nice. Now, the unfortunate part is without a class in the trio that is stun immune, if you do happen to get stunned, you are going to lose your songs. So just keep that in mind. Obviously, the goal is not to get stunned, but even if you do, just be prepared to cast your songs again, because you don't want to get caught in a situation where you're thinking that your rune songs are up and they're not. The skeletons over here are in mass amounts, so we'll try to run through here and get some proximity aggro on the rest of them. As you can see on the map, you can't even see the names anymore. There's just so many over here. So obviously out of the trio here, the Enchanter is going to bring some of the, well, in my opinion, some of, or if not the best cooldowns that you can get out of a character. You're going to have Doppelganger, which is enormous damage. And the biggest thing for this one is Illusion of Grandeur, which is going to offer you a huge bonus to your DPS when it comes to casting. It does affect the Bard song. Denon's Boastful something. It affects that, so you'll have a huge bonus on that. The only downside is that you used to be able to, like, I guess, twin cast it, and you can't do that anymore, which realistically is just fine, because I didn't play a Bard at that point. I missed that window of awesomeness, but from what I understand, even from other Bards, it was incredibly overpowered. So, and when I say overpowered, I mean pulling all of Plane of Fire and nuking it down in 3 seconds, or killing gods and planes of planes of power in 15 seconds that everyone else was spending minutes and minutes on. So lots and lots and lots of power that realistically shouldn't have been there. Which is a pretty good thing about this server. The people that run it, if they see something that's extremely unbalanced, they will change it. I'll be honest, being at the receiving end of that change might feel bad at first, but realizing that it's honestly for the better of the server health is probably just something that you're going to have to see. Because if everyone just tries to play a bard, then you'll really, really cut down on server variety when it comes down to, looking around. You don't want to see everybody with a loot in their hand. And that's exactly what you're going to see if bards were that much more powerful. Cleric obviously is going to push you towards obviously way better heals, a lot more survivability, great buffs, and their battle frenzy is another thing that is phenomenal because it makes every single one of your songs or damage spells crit. So not only are you getting an increase in damage from the Illusions of Grandeur, you're also getting a cooldown that's going to make every single one of your offensive songs and spells crit. So just a massive, massive possibility there that just stacks and stacks and stacks for damage. So that paired with a cooldown from the bard called Death Dance, and you are going to be invulnerable for a little bit. So as long as you gather them up and then cast all the stuff that you need at the time, you are literally going to be invulnerable while you just nuke everything down with your AoE target song. And don't get discouraged if you can't do it right away. The song itself is extremely mana inefficient, or inefficient, I apologize. So at first it's going to be a little more difficult to do it just because you'll see your mana go down 20-30% each time you sing the song. Later on it won't be that bad. It'll be like 10%, so you can do it quite a bit before you run out of mana. And another great benefit is with Enchanter and Bard in there, it's not like you have, a limited supply of mana regeneration. You've got the Enchanter regen as well as the Bard songs to regen mana as well. So, all right, so we've got everything kind of following us. We'll go ahead and pop our amplification. This is 5 minutes of a boost to songs. And then as they come in, we'll just kind of get them up a little bit. We're not going to use our Death Dance until we get them more over here. You'll start to see the HP go down. Or shoot, maybe you won't. So as you can see, this is incredibly huge damage. And even with all of these on me, it looks like I'm not even going to have to use my Death Dance. If this video single-handedly gets Bard nerfed again, I apologize to everybody out there, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So I do have a melody here that I can just run together. The only things you actually have to keep casting as far as the melody goes is your single target DOT songs. I do have those set up on my melody here, just 3 of them. And then for the last 3, we'll go ahead and pop out our doppelgangers. Now you've got 4 of me beating this thing up instead of just that. And they're going to cast my songs as well. So, boing. So yeah, that was, I mean, a good majority of the zone. As you can see, it's very empty now. Another great thing about that is all of these things are going to drop a lot of different pieces that you can sell. So this guy in particular has an entire, we'll move that, has an entire bag just designed for selling. So what we'll do is we'll just shift click this stuff. So we'll pick up all of it. And it's just as an example of what we can do. Usually I wouldn't do this because obviously this is going to take time, but I want you guys to see this. So keep in mind I've got 16,400 plat at this moment. And all this is shift right click. If you're not familiar with that. I actually wasn't until not too long ago, which is kind of embarrassing to say, but so it may not look like a lot, but a lot of this stuff is worth upwards of, 150 to 200 platinum at some points. So being able to sell it all with something as simple as that is very lucrative. Yawn. I think it might actually take longer to loot than it did to gather the whole zone up. So the only things that won't be going into this like vendor bag is the stuff that's too large to go in the vendor bag. Like you can't put like two-handed swords in there and things like that. It does have a weight limit to it or a size limit. But still very, 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 very handy thing to have. I think it's like 30 EOMs. I got mine from just doing mass pulls. You get them every once in a while. There was a couple of days there where it seemed like I was getting 10 a day just doing regular stuff, getting AAs, so didn't seem like it was that bad. Alright, so not only do we get a tremendous amount of AAs on that pool, even though they were light blue, we got all of this stuff. So what we're going to do here is we're going to bounce out of here because I want to show you guys doing this in a more challenging zone as well, just to show you that you're not limited to sitting here in Umbral Plains, because obviously if you're level 65, this may not seem abundantly interesting to you, being able to mass kill a zone with light blues. But first, we're going to run over and show you guys how this bag works. So you'll pop in here and it'll tell you, do you want to sell all of this junk in your bag? So you say sell all, and it'll sell everything in that bag. It'll even show you how much it's going to sell it for, 6,249 plat. So just like that, you just made 6,200 plat. And that's not even counting the large stuff that was unable to be sold in that, which is all of this stuff right here. So, so far we're sitting at 22,614. So we'll go ahead and sell this stuff and see what we come out with on top of everything else. Always got to make sure I don't sell stuff that like I don't want to. See, every one of these blades is 200 pp. And they were dropping like crazy, so. Another cool thing about the loot bag is a lot of the stuff that you wouldn't normally loot, you just seriously, you'll just right click, shift, and you'll loot it all, and because it goes into a bag where you have to press one button to sell it, because this is the part people don't want to do. They don't want to sit here and click on this stuff over and over and over again until, you know, their finger gets tired and they got the whole Diablo 2 carpal tunnel thing going on. So they'll literally just not loot things instead of looting them all and you know, getting the cash for it. But you can make that 6,000 pp pretty much every 15 minutes, I believe it is. And it takes no time at all. So, I mean, if you're just wanting a class that you can run through zones and, you know, start building up some wealth or whatever else it is that you want to use for making other alts that you might enjoy more, or shoot, if you just enjoy this class, obviously it's a pretty powerful class regardless. I know this is a lot, but I mean, realistically, we were at what, 16,000 to begin with, or was it 14,000? One of those two. And now we're sitting at 24,000. So if I really wanted to go out and be like, hey, I want to go buy something from one of my other characters, this would definitely be the character I got on at first. So next, we're going to go to Plane of Fire. That is one of the go-to places for people level 60 to 65 to go to, like, farm AAs, you know, get level experience from 60 to 65. And in my opinion, the most important part of Plane of Fire is leveling up your gear, because that is going to be the never-ending quest of the hero's journey, is the gear leveling. So you're going to run out of AAs eventually to get, you're going to run out of levels to get, but one thing that typically you won't run out of getting is gear. There's always something better. Best in slot's only going to last one expansion, obviously. And if you've got more than one character, that is a lot of gear that you're going to, unless you get everything legendary from drops, which is not what happens to me. You're going to be leveling that gear up, and leveling it up in places like Plane of Fire is going to be much easier than leveling it up in places that you're doing, you know, solo or whatever it may be. So we're going to pop into a respawning here, Plane of Fire, and I'm going to attempt not to embarrass myself by saying that this is going to be easy. But we're going to go ahead and pop our stuff on, and then we're going to go at it. So I'm trying to make sure. I think I'm going to need to get Search group pain. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and get our song Levitation. Actually, we won't even get the song. We'll just get the spell. The reason we want Levitation is I'm not going to go through the tunnel over here to get to the rest of the mobs. I'm just going to go straight through and travel up. And if you guys don't know how to do that, I'll show you here in just a second. It's just a way to skip the little MP guys and go through the lava. So be careful with your ripostes too. Try to pull everything by proxy aggro versus just like face pulling it. Because some things obviously do summon. You get one thing that summons, it screws up the rest of your whole pull, because at that point now you've got to stop, go back. If you have to, you're going to have to waste your cooldowns now. You're going to have to start all over. And that can kind of ruin your day, especially if you're having like a really good pull and you've got everything that you want, you know, following you and everything else. So Plane of Fire is actually one of my favorite zones as far as the progression part of it. I actually loved coming through here and doing the full dungeon crawl on it whenever I first got to it for the actual Planes of Power progression. Rolling through this area and then going through the little first camp and then going through the, you know, huge field of mobs and then everything else is just incredibly fun. So up here, you'll climb this mountain, and with levitation, you're able to go straight. Well, you got to go farther up. Man, I'm an idiot. Hold on one second. So farther up, you can go straight across here. Yeah, see, I ran into the swarm. You can go straight across here, though, and then you can go down, and then you are in the first castle area. So we'll try to pull a bunch of these. I'm not going to get all of them because I don't want to get wing chopped by everything over there again. But we'll pull the first field and then the second field for sure. Yeah. All right. So we are rolling through. The aggro range on this stuff is going to be way bigger than it is obviously in Umbral Plains when everything was light blue, so just keep going. Looks like our songs are still good even though we were stunned. Thank you, AAs. But as you can see, even with my rune songs on over in this area, I'm not going to be able to just face tank everything. I'm going to have to use my Death Dance. And this time around, we're also going to try to use our Pure Tone Discipline. I don't know if I can use them both at the same time. I actually forget, but we're going to attempt to pretty much pull out all the stops on this one because there's going to be a lot of heavy hitters in this group. So. Alright, so as you can see, we've got a nice little horizon of enemies that are just crawling at us. So we'll probably just circle these together and get ready to go at it. But first, let's see if I can't get rid of some of these AA so I don't just end up maxing stuff out for no reason. Let's just pump some stuff into this stuff. Okay, cool. There's nothing worse than getting a huge group of stuff and then, oh, by the end of it, you notice that you were already at 100 and you just wasted the whole pool. All right, so we're almost ready. So let's go ahead and we'll pop it right here. So we'll get a couple of these are going to be a little bit closer. When they get real close, we'll pop Death Dance, hit Pure Tone, and then let's just go ahead and start our thing. Oh, I'm sorry, Illusion of Grandeur, Battle Frenzy. Okay, Death Dance is gone, but so are they. And that was me making a mistake. I forgot about Battle Frenzy and Illusion of Grandeur at first. But that was 94 AAs, you know, depending on how many of these that I missed or whatever else it is. And both the fields in Plane of Fire. So I'm not going to loot these because I'm not going to drag you guys through that again. But very efficient at pulling and, you know, doing, you know, just mass gaining of platinum and leveling up your gear and stuff. So now let's see if this character is even efficient at all at killing any kind of a boss. So we're not going to plow our way into Plane of Time or anything like that. What we're going to do is we're going to go over to one of the regular planes and we're just going to kind of fade our way into a boss area and see what plane do we want to go to. Okay, so one we can probably get to pretty efficiently would be Valon or Talon. So let's go ahead and get our stuff going here. I haven't tried this guy solo, by the way, in Plane of Time. I went with somebody, which obviously it was not difficult at all at that point, but I'm not 100% sure how he would be completely solo doing that stuff. So that's the only reason I'm not doing it right now, because I don't want to take you guys all the way there and then all of a sudden I just get my butt kicked and then there it is. Alright, so we'll go ahead and get rid of these guys. So as you can see, melee damage is not this guy's strong point, but it's really nice having the additional damage from, obviously you're going to have the Cleric weapon, which is, in my opinion, the Cleric weapon is probably one of the best weapons you can get. Holy Hammer of Holy Vengeance. Wow, I couldn't get that out. It does Simp Healing 8, and it also does Retribution, which is 75 damage to them and 150 healing to you and your group. So basically, as long as you're attacking and you've got a decent proc rate, you're going to be just fine. At least on stuff that you can self-heal through. Now, granted, there are some things out there that are going to hit harder than you can proc through, but Dance of Blades is another one of the Bard AAs. This one is going to offer you additional proc rate as well as its own proc, which is pretty huge proc, to be honest. So I'll show that one on, I don't know if this is Valon or Talon. I'll always forget. Vallon Zek. I'll show it on Valon over here. But Valon pulls in a lot of ads, so we're going to go ahead and take care of these things first. So as you can see, for the most part, on mobs that are kind of trivial mobs in a way, you're not going to be doing too much damage to me with the Cleric weapon in hand. On my offhand, I have the Song Blade of the Eternal. This pushes my song resonance up to 500%. So this is going to be a must as well if you're going to be using the, it's called DDD, but it's Denon's Desperate Dirge. And that's going to be the song that you use for your heavy hitter on the AoEs. this is the Lute of Flowing Waters. I don't use this very often, but when I do, it's for the click. So you can also use that sword and another instrument in your ranged. So this is an instrument that boosts my stuff up 680%. And the importance of that is the stuff that's boosting up is all of my single target AoEs, or not AoEs, DOTs. So that's pretty huge as well. And these things last for a while. They do great damage, as you can see here. I'm pretty sure that the DOTs at this point are doing more damage than I am melee-wise, which is pretty normal, I guess, for a bard. So I do have 3 minutes on Illusion of Grandeur, but I do have Battle Frenzy. Bladed Song is going to be a reverse damage shield, which is pretty nice. And I've got Funeral Dirge, Cacophony are both very heavy-hitting DOTs from the bard side of things. Boastful Bellow sucks. Mental Contortion, Radiant Cure, Purify, all these things are up. Eldritch Rune is just, it's from the Enchanter side of things. Veil of Mind, same thing. Shield of Notes is another one of the boosts for my survivability or sustain. Song of Stone is a pet that the bard gets. It's like a little stone elemental. Celestial Hammer is like a little pet for the cleric. It's a little hammer. And of course, Bite of Tashani is a magic resist debuff. Doppelganger comes out, and we'll show all of those as well. So let's go ahead and engage this guy. So I'm not going to sit here and say that Vallon Zek is the most challenging god in, you know, obviously all the planes, but as you can see, this is not abundantly challenging to bring this guy in to a area with bosses or gods and kind of do your thing. So as you can see, that this is doing tremendous amounts of AoE damage even to these guys. So getting rid of this guy's swarm of ads has now turned into an extremely easy task. If you can target the real Valon the whole time, that way you can use your hammer to proc the heal, you'll be in a real good position because there's no way that he'll be able to get you. So also in retrospect, can you imagine if I was able to twin cast the Denons at this point? I'm literally 3-shotting these things with this as it is. So can you imagine basically one-shotting them with one song and a couple of cooldowns? It definitely needed to be nerfed. So I think we found the real Valon here. So we'll go ahead and change over to our single targets. Get him dotted up. Unless the real Valon is this one. Time will tell. Yeah, it may be the 95%er there. But we'll get these other guys knocked down, and then we'll pop over to the real one. Or maybe we killed the real one. I see the planar projection. But yeah, as long as you use your arsenal, this character is not going to have any issues with the bosses. I'm not going to have any issues doing mass pulling, getting you lots of platinum, leveling your gear up, you know, moving in the direction that you want to move, obviously, with, you know, pretty much everything that you're going to be doing. So I highly recommend the Cleric, Bard, Enchanter. And the reason I highly recommend it is not because, oh, you can go mass farm zones. I personally really enjoy playing this character. I think it's extremely fun. I've always loved Bard. I was one of the original Bards in Kunark that was the guy you all hated, that was mass pulling Dreadlands and, you know, doing my little swarm thing that took me 40 minutes. And if I sneezed once, I'd have to, you know, I'd die. But that was back before they nerfed Bard pulling so bad. But yeah, I was that guy. Everybody, I've always loved Bard though. And the way that they do it on this server is extremely unique with the, you know, cast the song once and it keeps going and all that kind of stuff. So Very, very fun. Not terrible on the bosses. Not terrible on well, really on anything. It's got a lot of damage potential. You've got the melee there. Not wonderful melee, but you've got enough of it to stay alive with the right procs. And in my opinion, it's just an incredibly fun class to play. You've got Fading Memories, you've got Doppelganger, you've got a whole bunch of these different things that are at your, you know, deployance that I didn't even use on that because I didn't need to. So again, not the hardest boss, but just kind of wanted to display to you guys that it's not just for mass pulling zones. The guy can literally put up some work too when it comes down to, you know, moving bodies in the plains, things like that. So I will try later on to do a full video just separately on this trio doing Plane of Time and kind of seeing how far it can go, where the progression stops if it does. And obviously what the weak points are when it comes down to doing the big boy gods. And obviously I can't do Zeb, so not one of those guys. But yeah, we'll see what we can do there. And that'll be it for this one. If you guys liked the video, please subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a good one, guys.